Oh, hi there, guys. So there was news today that Rushanara Ali, Labour's homelessness minister, is a landlord. Now, this one is absolutely incredible. So let's have a quick look at the article here, which is on the BBC website. So it was originally reported in the paper, but that's behind a paywall. So we're just going to have to make do with the BBC for now. So it says Britain's homelessness minister increased the rent on a house she owns by hundreds of pounds, allegedly within weeks of the previous tenant's contract ending. The Eye reported that 4 tenants who rented a house owned by Rushanara Ali in East London were sent an email last November giving them 4 months' notice that their lease would not be renewed. And then it says the property was then relisted shortly after the tenants moved out at a rent that was £700 a month higher. A spokesman for her said Rushanara Ali takes her responsibilities seriously and complied with all relevant legal requirements. And a source close to the homelessness minister said it had been a fixed-term contract and that the house had been put up for sale while the tenants were there. They said the tenants had been told they could stay on a rolling basis while the house was on the market, but they had chosen to go. The Eye said that it had also been told that the house was only relisted as a rental because it had not sold. And then it goes on to talk briefly about what the government have got planned for the rental housing sector. So just wanted to mention really that obviously homelessness is a multifaceted issue and there's lots of reasons why people become homeless. It could be relationship breakdown, a loss of a job, addiction or mental health issues, domestic violence, could just be bad luck. But there's also broad structural reasons for why so many people become homeless in this country and why we've got a housing and homelessness crisis. One of the main reasons being lack of affordable housing and an absolutely ludicrous rental market that exists only to maximise profit for landlords. Think about the housing market in this country. It's nigh on impossible to get a council house, and it's extremely difficult if you're on a low income to save a deposit to get your own home. So that then pushes people into our largely unregulated private rental sector. Add into the mix that wages haven't kept up with rents over many years, and what you've got is a sort of perfect storm of poor housing policy, poor housing infrastructure, and then poor people being moved around the country looking for affordable homes. It's an absolute mess from top to bottom. I was a renter for over 10 years, and it is a total wild west out there. Basically anything goes, and you feel like you've never got any stability and that you can have the rug pulled out from under you at any point. So the picture's already bleak when it comes to housing, but the notion that the person overseeing the government's homelessness strategy is a landlord and that she engages in potentially shady practices outlined in the article is just absolutely ridiculous. I'm tearing my hair out of this one. From what's being reported by the paper there's a clear conflict of interest for her here, and there's also a number of questions arising from this for her. So the questions that I would put to her, has she got a vested interest in seeing housing supply being limited so that rents continue to go up year on year? Has she got a vested interest in ensuring that council house building is restricted for the same reason? And her actions as a landlord may be directly increasing homelessness. Is she aware of that? In my profession, when I go out to work, I have to engage in reflective thinking. I have to consider, how do my actions impact on other people? Or what could I do differently here to get a better outcome? I wonder if Rushanara Ali has ever stopped to self-reflect on her own position or think about those questions that I just asked. I doubt it. The likelihood is that based on this reporting that she's just another spiv who probably doesn't think about that sort of stuff at all. Or if she does, she'll just think that this is the natural order of things and that she's just following market trends. I doubt she would even stop to think for 1 minute about the poor bastards who live in her houses. People always say about politicians they're all the same. But they're right, aren't they? This is what the Labour Party are now, just full of spivs and rentiers. And it's not good enough. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you in the next one.